The meeting is being live streamed. All right. So welcome, YouTube. I'm super excited today. Clear Vision Wednesday, chart play or how to improve your vision using an eye chart. And for some of you, this might sound familiar. For others, it might be like, what? And I just want to talk a little bit about Dr. Bates. Dr. William Bates, the creator and really the father of vision improvement. He used eye charts pretty much in every session with any of his patients. And he used them in so many varied forms. And if you are interested, my colleague Nathan Oxenfeld and Esther van der Werf have created the Better Eyesight magazine podcast, which is basically based on the Better Eyesight magazines Dr. Bates published exactly 100 years ago. And the September episode has some really cool stories about using eye charts in schools, what Dr. Bates did, and how teachers used eye charts to help their students improve their vision. There's a really cute story in there about a freckled-faced boy, if you're interested. So go to Better Eyesight. I think it's bettereyesightmagazine.com. Okay, so let's get started. Dr. Bates, here's the thing. Dr. Bates believed, and this is really true, that making an object familiar is helping you improve your vision, because when you are relaxed, your vision is best. And for most people, an eye chart is what Dr. Bates called a pessimum. It's like you look at that, you're like, oh, you hold your breath, you stare, you're freaking out. So making an eye chart a familiar object actually helps you to use the eye chart to relax your eyes and not making this scary thing that you can pass or fail. So that's one of the things I want to kind of teach today, how we can use an eye chart as making it a familiar object. And one way to do this is obviously stick it up on the wall in your house. And maybe I have a ton of eye charts here, as you can see. Put eye charts up on the wall, maybe put them next to a favorite picture, but make it part of your decor, right? Make an eye chart. That's what Dr. Bates did in the schools. The kids read the eye chart every day. And now people might say, oh, but then you're cheating. You can learn it by heart. But you know if a letter is clear or not, right? Yes, you can cheat and learn and study by heart if you want to pass the test at the Department of Motor Vehicles and you want to get your license. But the point here is not to cheat. The point is learning how to relax your eyes. So before we get going, I wanted to share with you, I put in the YouTube description a download link to 2 charts. And it's basically these old-fashioned Snellen charts. So you have a black one. And I got this printed on a professional printer, and I mounted them on foam core. So they're like nice and sturdy. So these are identical charts, black and white, just reversed. And before we get going, I want to show you how it looks like. I've also printed the black one, and this is a little beaten up, this chart. I've used it a lot. This is like on a laser, the shiny one is the professional one. This is the one on a laser printer, and you can see it's still really nice black, but you can see this is on a letter size or tabloid size paper, so I had to stitch it together. It's still really nice and black, right? This one still works really well if you have a laser printer, but this is like a professional one that's really, really nice, deep black. However, if you don't have these or you can't download them, you can get eye charts, from Amazon, and I want to show you some of you. So this is called a Tumbling E Chart. Right, this is a great chart to use. It's just the same E, but you know which way does it face. Then this is a chart used for children. You can totally use a chart like this. And on the other side, you have letters. I can't remember if I got this on Amazon or got it at a professional optometry website, but it basically has the letters H. So it has a square letter, the angled letter, the V, the open letter, the T, and the round letter, the O. So it has these 4 letters. So even if you are somebody illiterate, or and then this is the traditional eye test big E Snellen charts. That's also the one behind on my wall there. So you can get all of these, like these are on plastic, but you can get these on Amazon. And then I also, for today's session, the ones I provided to you, you can print them like reduced size. Again, this is a laser printer. It's not as black, but you can make little mini versions of these. This is the mini version of the traditional Snellen chart here. But we will also use small eye charts. And again, you can just print them out and just tell the printer 20% or 15% so that you have, it doesn't matter what exact size you print these small ones at. You want to have something in your hand. What else do we need? We need bouncy balls. So I have these balls that I like. We actually just need one, but these are balls that I got a long time ago. What I like about them, they have a little, they look like pool balls, right? But they have a number on them. So if you have a bouncy ball that has some graphics on them, that's even better. If not, any bouncy ball is fine. Maybe the Halloween scary eyeball balls, those are kind of fun, but these are nice because they have a little letter on them. And we're going to use that at some point. Let me look at my notes. So yeah, so let's get started with the first practice. The first practice is what I call a river runs through it. And I think that was a movie title actually. So what we're going to do, one way to relax your eyes on the chart is to just focus on the background. And if you have the dual charts, you can, explore with both charts. If you only have one chart, then use the chart that you have. You can actually, another thing I like to do, let me just show the white one here. Another thing I like to do, maybe even, if you have them, like hang them upside down, right? So change it around. Like it's not like the last line is the last line is the scary one or something. You can do this. One more thing before we do the river runs through. For what I've noticed a lot of times, the white letters on black might work easier for you if you're nearsighted or your vision is not as good because there's less glare, and the black letters on white tend to look gray. So you might find that a black chart with white letters is easier for you. If you have perfect eyesight, then it doesn't make any difference. However, you might want to explore getting that black chart printed out because it's worthwhile. So the river runs through it technique, the way you're going to use, it doesn't matter again which chart you're going to use, you pretend that these letters are just rocks and they're in the river, and you basically move your attention, you just move your attention like water would flow down on these blinking and breathing, and you kind of weave your way down the letters. And you can do this at a distance. You want to do it at a distance where you can see maybe the middle row. You don't want to be so far away that everything is blurry, but you don't have to have the letters sharp. It's definitely a great way to relax your attention and focus on the background, because the white background is really relaxing. So you're just letting your attention move down. You find a different path for the letters each time. Blink and breathe. Maybe your water does a little curly, swirly. Maybe it swirls around the letter a few times and then goes down here. So I'm obviously not doing it as I'm showing it, but you just kind of let it go, or you turn it around and then you start anywhere. Blink and breathe. You're not trying to read anything. You're just letting your attention move between those kind of rocks, those black. You can imagine them to be black, the background will be white. Just moving your attention. And again, your water can kind of be a little spiral around the letter if you want, and then come to an end. So you can do that. I would say maybe do it for 3-4 minutes, however long, maybe just a minute. Just blink and breathe and relax. And again, this is just a way to slowly use the eye chart. Don't look at the letters, look at the background, either the black background or the white background. So that's number one, that I love to do that as a really relaxing practice. And if you have the charts, both of them next to each other, you can also, move your attention from the white to the black, and you can kind of weave through and change and look and see what changes or how you feel. Maybe one background feels a lot more relaxing to you than the other. So the next one is actually really famous technique from the Bates method, where you use assumptions or guesses to read the letters. So again, a lot of the reading in the Bates method is actually reading the eye chart, and not like about, again, an assessment. This is not a test, but what you can do, and again, I'm using this chart, but if you can use, let me show the other one just so we have some variety here. Where did I put my Snellen chart? This one here, for instance, if we use this one. So when you look at most letters, first of all, a traditional Snellen letter devised by a Dutch ophthalmologist or optometrist, I think, in the 1900s, all the letters are based on a 5, I always want to say pixel, but they're a grid of 5. So this letter is 5 units, and this is the width of 1 unit is exactly like the white spaces. So the black and the white are exactly the same size. Like if you think of pixels, right? 5 pixels, 5 pixels. So all these letters are like built in this 5-pixel square grid, and all the letters on each side are either straight, they are curved, right? Like here, the O is curved, or they are open. Let's see the T, that the T is open on the side. So what you can do with this technique is be at a distance where I like to use a distance where you can read maybe at least the first 3 lines. You're not, again, you don't want to be so far away that you cannot see the chart. Be at a distance where maybe the first 3 or 4 lines are easy to read. And then at that point, you're like, I don't know about line 5 and 6. They look a little bit, I can't really tell what those letters are. So you basically start by looking at a letter and you make an assumption. Let's just pick the E here, for instance. You make an assumption and it doesn't matter, any of the 4 sides. Let's use the top here. Make the assumption that this letter is round on the top. And you might find that when you make an assumption that's wrong, that the letter gets more gray, more blurry, or maybe even disappears. However, when you make the assumption that let's say in this case, the top is a straight line, the letter will actually look blacker and might clear up. And then you can continue to do that. You can do the bottom and the side. You can continue to make assumptions. And you might even notice when your assumption is right that the letter seems to just move a little bit, shift a little bit, but it will definitely clear up. And when your assumption is wrong, it will get more blurry or gray or even disappear. So it's not like that we are trying to cheat the system here, but using assumptions to actually help you get a sense, are you right or are you wrong? For instance, if you pick the O here, and you might even notice when, let's say on the O, you can't see that one in the distance, and you make the assumption that it's a straight, let's say a straight top. And you might actually feel a strain when you assume that it actually feels like, this is really hard to do. Like, practice this on a letter that you can recognize. This is a good way to practice this feedback. Practice on a letter that you can recognize. Let's pick the O here and make the assumption that the O has a straight top. And you might feel like that feels like a strain in your eyes. And maybe the letter even actually gets blurry, right? And then assume that the letter is rounded on the top and notice how it suddenly looks blacker. So this is a good thing to practice with the first few letters at a distance where you can see them, but maybe they're not really sharp. But you get that feedback when your assumption is right, it looks blacker and sharper. And when your assumption is wrong, it gets blurrier or you feel actually a little bit of eye strain. So this is a really fantastic, technique that I call the guessing game. So that's number 2. I have so many cool techniques for you. Let's see, which one do we want to do next? So another way to use the eye chart, if you've been practicing the Bates method on naturally clear vision, or any of those vision techniques, you might be familiar with what's called the swing. So the swing can be a simple head swing. And if you don't know what that is, I have a YouTube video in my Clear Vision Wednesday. I think it was the first, second, or third one that's on YouTube, the swing. And basically a head swing would be where you just move your head from side to side and you just let your gaze move around. Your eyes are basically following their nose. You're not trying to catch anything. And you notice everything moving the oppositional way. You blink and breathe. And let me show the long swing. So basically, here's the thing. You can put vision eye charts in your 180-degree radius of swinging. And what I recommend is putting lots of other interesting things. So don't just have a white space and eye charts, because your eyes will probably be like eye chart. White space is boring, 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 eye chart. And then you don't get these little smooth, beautiful movements that you want to get in the swing. So do it like I have it, where you have charts and you have pictures and other things. And you want to look, this is something I forgot to say. Ideally, you want to put an eye chart at a level where the top letter is like around eye height. So that my C letters here, like if I step closer there, you see how they are a little bit tall. So that one in the back is better, so that you don't tend to like look up when you look to the top letters. You want to definitely have your chin perpendicular to the floor. So have the top letter about the height of the eyes. And if you're working with children, you obviously want to put them lower. And in the long swing, you're not trying to read any letters when you do the swinging. You're just letting your attention glide by. Notice how everything moves the oppositional way. because a lot of times we might notice the oppositional movement in the garden and with everything, but with eye charts, the letters are not moving, they're frozen, when in reality, everything is moving as you're moving. So let me tilt my computer down a little bit, and hopefully I can demonstrate this here. So for the long swing, I have to be very far away. I hope you can hear me. You want to have your feet a little like out, like externally rotated. And I have several eye charts here. And you would just do, the desk is a little close here for me to move, but you basically want to kind of look at something in chest height and just do your swing. Blink and breathe and just pivot on one foot, do your swing, and let your eyes, glide around your environment and including the eye chart. So I'm not going to do that whole thing right now, but just using eye chart as a great tool to use to notice the oppositional movement with a chart, and maybe a letter will suddenly pop out clearly that you have not recognized. But you're not trying to look at any of the letters. You're just kind of sweeping past, as if you have a little brush and you're just sweeping past, or you're cleaning up your room with having a little imaginary brush attached to your face. So that's the third one, just using the charts for swings. You can also use it for the sway. I haven't taught the sway yet, but anytime you want to do any movement on the rebounder, really great idea. If you have a rebounder and you're jumping on a trampoline, for most of my students, if they don't see oppositional movement horizontally, they do see it vertically, because we are not usually moving vertically, right? As humans, we're usually scanning the world horizontally because, we don't really have predators like that can come from top, or we're not predators that look for prey on the ground. Usually we're more like a horizontal scanning as humans. And so on the rebounder, when you jump up, the chart seems to move down. It's kind of that piston effect. So that's a really great way to also use the chart on the rebounder. I mean, my friend, Dr. Ray Gottlieb, who was on here a few weeks ago, he wrote a whole book, memory and attention training on the rebounder or trampoline, and he uses eye charts a lot for that. So that's a really great book you can get for free on his website. All right. So that was number 3. Number 4 would be, there's 2 more things we're going to do. So number 4 would be, let's do the bouncy balls. So the bouncy balls, I actually have to see if I have to tilt this back down. So again, you can use any ball that bounces. And if you get more proficient, you can use one in each hand. The way I recommend starting is not necessarily with an eye chart. I'm going to demonstrate the technique first, and then we're going to do it on the eye chart. So basically what you do, and again, you can start with one. You don't need 2 bouncy balls. You bounce the ball, you blink and breathe, and you look at the ball. Then you look up into the distance, blink, and then you bounce again. Look at the ball, blink, look in the distance, blink. So you're constantly shifting your attention from near to far. You're working on your hand-eye coordination. There is movement involved. And if you want to work with the non-dominant hand, you can obviously switch, look, blink, look up, blink. And the way we do this with a chart would be that you stand at a distance, and I have this very tiny office. My vision is really great. I would probably have to be 50 feet away or more. But what you want to do, you want to start at a distance where you can see the first letter on the chart. And again, you want to have the letter on eye level, like not as high up as I do. And what you start, and I'm pretending right now, let's say I'm pretending that just at this distance, all I can see is the big C, and everything else is blurry or not recognizable from me. So, and if you have a chart that has 3 letters on the first row, right, we can do that with the first 3 letters. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bounce the ball, look at the ball, blink, look at the C, blink, and then bounce the ball again, oops, catch it, look at the ball, blink, look at the C, and look. And now, let's say I cannot see the next row. You take a step forward, and then again, catch, look at the bouncy ball, look at the, in this case, it's an R, right? And then I do it again, blink, look at the next letter. So basically, you're working your way down the whole eye chart, and you only step closer at the point where you cannot recognize the next line down. So let's say you have 4 letters on row 4, you're going to do this bouncy ball with all the 4 letters. And let's say maybe suddenly you're relaxing and you're like, oh, wow, I can actually read line 5 now. so then don't move forward. Only move forward when you hit a level where you cannot recognize the letters, and you go all the way to the very end, to the very last row of the chart. So this is a really fun game to play. I guess if you have darts, you can also throw darts at the eye chart. I just thought that would be fun. So that's number 4, the bouncy ball. I love that one. It's really relaxing because you're constantly moving your attention. And if you have some kind of lettering on the ball, like here the number, it's really nice because you also you can look at the number, and if you're farsighted, that might look a little blurry, but you just blink and breathe and relax, and then you look at the chart. If you're nearsighted, then maybe this one is like, oh, this is super sharp. Blink and breathe, relax, black and white, and then you look at the chart. So it's all about movement and relaxing into that. So that's number 4. And then the last technique is, I call it same size, or basically it's the idea you have a mini version of the chart, and I don't have a version of the white one, but I have a black one here. And you use the chart, you use memory and imagination, which is another huge important aspect of good vision, is because our perception happens in the brain, and our vision is based on our memory of what we saw. If the memory is really good, your vision is great. And imagination is based on memory, because we cannot imagine something that we don't know. I always use the example of an elephant, a pink elephant. If you don't know what a gray elephant is, you're like, what is a pink elephant? So if you know what a gray elephant is and you know the color pink, you can now imagine a pink elephant, for instance. So the way this works, you stand at a distance, again, where maybe you see, like, it's a little different for near sight and far sight, but you want to stand at a distance where you can see maybe, line 4 or 5. You don't want to be like so far away again that you can't see anything. So be at a distance where you can see at least the line 3, where you can read it. And the way it works, and it's hard for me to demonstrate it here, but there will be a certain distance. I think I cannot demonstrate at this angle, but if you're nearsighted, right, you're using, let's pick a letter. Let's pick the C, just for simplicity's sake. So you're looking at that close one. Really pay attention to the background. Again, the black, I love how it looks like a little spoon, right? The black looks like a little spoon in here. So focus on those, what we call in graphic design, the negative shapes. Really look at that letter, take it all in. Notice how white the white is, how black the black is. And then gaze to the distance chart. And again, if you're farsighted, you can start looking at the far chart, get the clear letter there, and then compare it with the blurry letter on the. So you have basically, the idea is here that you have one letter that's clear at the distance where your vision is best, and then one letter that's blurry, the same letter on the small chart or the big chart that is blurrier or blurrier or blurry. So let's say in my case, I'm assuming I'm nearsighted, and this one looks really nice and clear. The C here on my little chart looks super clear. And then I look up, and that one looks blurry, a little gray, fuzzy. So now you close your eyes, and you have a good memory of that clear letter, the one in your hand. And then you have a memory, and then now you have a memory of that other letter on the far chart that was fuzzy or blurry or whatever it looked like. You just compare them side by side. And then you imagine as if you can kind of have a sticker. You peel the letter from the clear letter off the small chart and stick it on the big chart. So you have that clear imagination that letter that was on the distance chart is now super clear, because you also know it's the same letter. It looks exactly the same. And then you blink your eyes open for just a second on the far chart, close your eyes again. So do that a few rounds and notice if it starts clearing up. Obviously, there's a certain distance. If the chart is about, I haven't measured it exactly, about 10 feet away, and you have the little chart at arm's length, you might actually notice that the charts will look exactly the same size. I have a video on that too, but there's a certain distance where the little chart in your hand, depends also on the size of this one, will look literally like the big chart. And again, I cannot really let's say maybe I can demonstrate it here. Let's see if I can. It's hard to do with this with the flipped. Here we go. Let's see. Like say it's this point, right? The little one in your hand will look exactly the same size. I think this works for the technique here. Then the far one And you know that the letters, actually my Zoom camera is struggling with the near vision chart. It makes it a little blurry. But basically, you know it's the same letters. It's not like the distance chart. If you're nearsighted, suddenly somebody went in and made it all smudgy and gray. Or if you're farsighted, it's not like this little one was somebody like tricked you and made this all, used crayons and made it all dirty. You basically know it's the same letter. So you're using the memory of the clear letter and the memory of the blurry letter. And then you imagine like either let's say this is the blurry, this is the clear one. And then the clear one will just move over, or you peel a sticker off, or whatever you like to imagine. And you put it on that one. And then you open your eyes, blink, breathe, look at the letter, and notice if it got more clear, using that imagination of, because you had a good memory of the letter looking clear. And if you have no clarity at any distance, it's totally fine to put the glasses on and look at the chart at whatever distance is best for you. So the key for this practice is that you have a memory of how the letter looks clear. And then obviously you have the memory of how the letter looks blurry, but you need a memory of the letter in the clear state to then pretend that the one, or imagine that the one that was blurry is now also clear. Hope that makes sense. So that's the 5th technique. And what else did I want to share with you? And again, you can play that with you can use this chart for this, doesn't matter which one you use. And then you can do this with different letters, different sizes, and you might notice that suddenly you can read a lot further down the chart when you use this memory and imagination technique. My last tip, this is a tip, I would hang an eye chart next to a favorite picture, so that sometimes what I do, especially with my child students, like let your eyes rest on the picture, your favorite picture, and then just glance over to the eye chart, blink and breathe. And I call them shapes, right? It's just black shapes on white background, or white shapes on a black background. So it's just shapes. It's, it's like letters are just shapes. They're not something, when I look at here, the play chart I made, right? These are all shapes. So yeah, this happens to be a C, this happens to be a cow, right? And this is a circle, and this is a triangle, but these are all shapes. This is an arrow, right? We learned that, and this is actually really cool because it's kind of rough, so this has texture, but letters are nothing but shapes, and that we learned to recognize as a shape. When we were a baby, we didn't know this is an arrow, we didn't know this is a cow, right? So we're learning that these shapes mean something. And if you see it as just shapes on the background, then, it's hopefully you're going to lose your fear with these relaxation techniques on the eye chart. And let me look if there's any questions. Siriam, does small charts equals reading fine print? No, this is a different, the small chart is not about reading fine print, but the techniques are all the same. It's always relaxation, blinking, breathing, focusing more on the background versus just reading the letters. So the background is always relaxing for the eyes. On the white chart, it's the white. On the black chart, it's the black. So you can also, if you have the charts next to each other, notice how does it feel different? How does it, you can compare the white C to the black C. How does it look different? Is it same? Is one sharper? So just be curious. There's a lot of, we could do another whole YouTube on using those black and white charts, the double chart techniques. There's a lot of things you can do just with those two charts together. So, all right, I don't see any more questions, but yeah, the Bates techniques are all really simple. And in that episode that I was mentioning in the beginning, the freckled-faced boy said to Dr. Bates, no, I forgot, but 3 words. It was like, not worth trying, or not worth trying, basically. So the more effort you make, the blurrier it's going to get. And Bates said, basically, you just summed up my whole 200-page book in 3 words. Not worth trying, or something. It was something like that, but 3 words. So it's all about relaxation, all about not making an effort, not squinting and straining, because that will make it worse long term. All right, YouTube, I will be back next week with a special guest, Irene Castle, who's going to introduce her new peripheral tool that I'm really excited about. And you make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you can find me on Instagram. All the links are below in the description. Also the link to download those eye charts. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm always here every Wednesday at noon Pacific. All right, I'm going to end the YouTube live now. Bye, everyone.